Australia migration is different from so many other countries' migration. I would say because these guys have many group of people that assess cases for them, it makes their own pathway a bit clumsy for people until you've taken your time to really understand what is happening. It may be uneasy for you to really know what is going on. And Australia, as it is as of today, they have at least 43 assessing authorities. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back here. It's been some few days since we've been together, and I do not take you guys for granted. I've been so busy doing so many things, and my mind has been with you consistently because I need you to get a good grasp of what you need to do when it comes to migration to Australia, and knowledge of what you should do. It may be much more easier for you to walk through this pathway and be successful. So first thing is for you to congratulate yourself for being on this to your family members and friends, because this way we can help so many people and prevent them from being in a painful situation. If you now go and give your hard-earned money to someone who does not know as much as you know. That being said, we will not blame you. We listen these days, we don't judge. It's your money. If you still feel you want to give your money out to anybody that pleases you, you really work for your money, I can't stop you from giving out your money to people. But I will appreciate if you have questions, ask the questions on this channel so that it will help me to concentrate my efforts to what I'm giving out to people, and it will make others benefit, be helpful to me, to you, and every member of the channel, all the subscribers, all our fans. If you can ask your question here, and don't just make it personal questions or personal messages, except those things that can possibly show your personal information, like your name, date of birth, your passport numbers. Those are the things that we possibly will say you should keep to yourself. And so going right into it, Australia migration is different from so many other countries' migration, and it's also related to some other countries' migration in many areas. I would say because these guys have many group of people that assess cases for them, it makes their own pathway a bit clumsy for people until you've taken your time to really understand what is happening. It may be uneasy for you to really know what is going on, and this is one of the things that make it possible for people to get discouraged. But if you are not discouraged, if you take the journey one day at a time, after listening, after watching, and taking into appropriate actions, then you will actually reap the dividends thereof. And I promise you that it's a beautiful one that you're going to reap. All right, so let's go straight into the journey. So today I will discuss with you what assessing authorities are in Australia. If you want to go through their migration, you are from other countries, or the countries that they do not list as their sister countries, you've studied in those countries that they do not count as their sister countries. Like they may look at New Zealand as their sister country. They are so close, they have many things in common, they share so many things, so it may not be difficult for them to embrace anything that is coming from that place. And there are other countries too that have their own level of exposure to activities, maybe qualification wise, school wise, academic wise, and the practices because of exposures to technological gadgets. So they can look at countries like USA, like the UK, like Ireland, like Canada, like China, and see, oh, okay, we are close. What we do are in closer position, so you may not have many challenges getting things done straight up with those ones without the need to access your document. But there are some that you still really need to access your document, whether you are from any of those countries or not. So, but for those of us who really need assessments, who want to come to live in this country through migration pathway, the first thing you need to do is know your assessing authority. Australia, as it is as of today, they have at least 43 assessing authorities. So they call them skill assessment authorities, and I will show you their list as we go on in this talk. So these are the people that have been trained, they've been employed, trained, and they've been certified to look through what you are presenting to them with regards to your academic and the skill, the work you say you are practicing. So they will now look at what you are presenting to them and say, oh, the study you've had is in accordance, is welcome, is close to what our country's level of study for this job you are doing is. And so we think if you come around, you'll be able to perform well if you are in this role. They will look at that. They will also look at the skill you are practicing, whether it matches with what you studied. If it doesn't match, are they close? If it is not the same thing, like let's say you studied nursing, but for whatsoever reasons you are not practicing nursing, you are teaching in school of nursing, you are teaching in university as a lecturer in nursing profession. That way, if you want to come and work in the emergency department, or you want to work in medical surgical ward, or you want to work in ICU, an assessment authority will first look through your training curriculum and see whether it consists or contains the ingredients needed to practice as a nurse in Australia. Then, now that they are done with your training, the training that issued your certificates to practice to you, that issued you license if you are you are in a licensing or licensed profession, they will look at that and okay. So after considering that, they will now go and look at your skill. Okay, you said you want to come and practice in our ICU, but you are teaching. What you are teaching is mental health nursing. Of course, you've been registered as a nurse. You've specialized in mental health nursing, and that's what you are teaching. They will now say, oh, your qualification is good, your qualification is fine, your curriculum meets our need, but your skills, the skills you possess, will not meet what we need for an ICU nurse. So that is it. That is when we say some things are in close relations. Some may not be, some will be. And so, or if you say you are working in mental health unit and now you want to come over and work in aged care, yes, they can now say, oh yeah, when people are aging, they can have issues that can relate closely to mental health. They can have dementia, they can have delirium, they can have this and that. You understand, depression, and some other things going on, anxiety. They can have those things going on with them. So that way they may say, okay, your skill is close to what we need here. and so we are happy, we give you positive assessment. So what assessing authorities do here will be to assess your qualification and assess your skill and say they match what Australia needs to fill into those spaces that they have that they do not have workers in. Okay? So it is a long thing that I'm discussing with you here, because I know some people would say, oh, it should be sharp, it should be sharp. I'm not saying it's sharp so that you get everything that you need to get, because I know the issue of money is a big issue, and some people have been scammed, and it is painful when people come and are telling us how they are being scammed. And it will be quite unfortunate if you're on this channel and you still go outside to be scammed by someone that doesn't even know what you know through this channel. So that is what assessment or assessing authorities are. And Australia at the moment have about 43 of them. And each of these ones, you can find a role that they are assessing people for, one way or the other. May not be directly, it may be stylishly. And so when you find that, that is the group that you are going to click on to see what you need to do to get your assessment done. Once you get a positive assessment, honestly, you are like 50% done in the journey. Positive assessment is what you should be aiming at, should be at the back of your mind as you are listening to what I'm discussing here today. How do I get positive assessment? How can I get positive assessment? What do I need to do to get positive assessment? So you will now go to the link. You just put that on your Google search on Chrome or whichever app you are using for your browser. You put that, and you can even put your work and say authorities assessing bricklayers in Australia, and Google will help you to bring it out. So once you hold, you can come back if you are not sure, so that you don't end up assessing with the wrong bodies. You can come back to this channel to say, okay, I'm an architect, I've gone outside there, so, and what I saw to assess me as an architect is so. Is it correct? Then we look at it together and say, okay, you are correct, you are not correct. So like the architect that I mentioned, you could say, okay, I saw Architects Accreditation Council of Australia as my assessment authority. Is this correct? We can then say yes, go on ahead, or no, don't go on ahead. Let me show you the list before we just crack on in this, okay? All right, so, and another thing I would say, if you want to know anything or do anything at all about Australian migration, this particular link, I will put it in this video. You should familiarize yourself with everything happening on this page, imi.homeaffairs.gov.au or whatever. So on this, you will see the list of authorities that are giving assessment to as many as possible. I talked about architect accreditation the other time, and so you can see this list is long like this, is from A to Z. This is one. This is one. This is another one. Okay. You can keep going on and on and on like that. This one will assess children educators and care quality things. Australian College of Physical Scientists and Engineers in Medicine. Australian Computer Society Incorporated, ACS Data Scientists Only, ACWA, Australian Community Workers Association, and you keep going on and on. Australian Institute of Medical Scientists, Australian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, Australian Institute of Teaching and School Leadership Limited. You keep going on and on and on, and then you select the one that matches what you've studied and what you are practicing, the field you are practicing in. If you don't do it this way, if you pick the wrong assessing authority, I'm not sure they are going to refund you. If they are even going to refund it, they will have removed administrative fee from it. You don't want to stress yourself this way. So just familiarize yourself with your own assessment authorities. And I make bold to say that among all these assessing authorities or skill assessment authorities, this one, VETASESS, is the biggest. They do assess people that are in vocational education and training assessment services. That's what VETASESS means. They assess so many group of people, those in trades and those in non-trades. They do assess them. So once you are done with that and you've ascertained your own assessment authority, you now go to their website and see what they've got there for you. So now they will have some information for you, like if you can see what VETASESS is saying. In fact, they are even so proud of themselves. So they are telling you that they are the, let me use a color that is against their own color. See what they are telling you, that they are the Australia's largest skills assessment service, and I'm proud of them for being. I know one of my sisters will not be proud of them when she sees this video, because they collected my sister's money and they gave her negative assessment. But thank God, it's history now. She's doing really very well. So you can check your occupation and find out if you can assess your skills and experience. So I will put an occupation. If we put an occupation, let's see if they can assess it. Okay, let's say I don't want this. Yeah, let's use poultry farmer. Let's see if they are assessing that. If they are assessing it, you see, this is these guys. They can assess someone who is a poultry farmer, and when they give you that one, they will give you what they are expecting from you, like the qualification you should submit to them and every other thing you need to submit to them. So like, you will need to read through the information they put there. Read through. We are doing it each stage by stage now, so that nobody would say they now went to something, misled them, something ministered to them, and someone is scamming them. This occupation requires a qualification assessed as comparable to the education level of an Australian qualification framework bachelor degree or higher degree, and in a field highly relevant. You see, field, in a field highly relevant, which means it must be close. So you will not say that you've studied a course in agriculture, or maybe you've studied animal husbandry now, but you are working in the bank. That's your field of practice, which is one of the things that is affecting people in terms of migration in Nigeria. That's your skill, that your practice will not be highly relevant in this situation. It will not be highly relevant if you have studied agric and you've studied plants whatsoever, but you are now working in the chemical industry where what they are dealing with is soap. I mean, how to make soap, how to make cream, and all those things. Those are the things you are doing. You are not dealing with chemicals they are using, maybe herbicides and all those things. It will not be closely related. So your practice will be closely related for you to get positive assessment. Please take good note of that. So once you are done with that and you know the authority that is assessing you, you want to check the documents that you need to provide for your assessor. And in most situations, let me give you will need your passport, valid one, viable one, that is not going to expire while they are doing that assessment. And I would say possibly safer if your assessment is going to take like 3 months. You would be safer to have a passport that is still valid for at least next 6 months before you put in your for your assessment. And there is a body that their own is like 4 months or 6 months. Then if your passport will expire in 6 months time, that may not be the best for that situation. So you will need to read through what they are saying there. So when you are done and you've known the body that is assessing your skill, the next thing you will actually need to do is to gather your documents. So travel documents, which is your international passport, you need that. And your academic qualification, your certificate from your school, your transcript, you will need that. Some would say you should send them by mail. Some will say you should upload them when you are filling your form. All the money you're going to spend in this process into it. Save some money or start gradually, but make sure you keep going. Don't just stay in a space without doing anything. So you will need that. You will need your employment proof that you are working in a profession that you said that you want to assess for. So that would come from your letter of a letter from your supervisor, your immediate supervisor in most situations. So that would state, your letter should state when you started working, the title of your role that you are performing there, then talk of the things that you are doing, your roles at work. Not like it should be like it shouldn't be like 6 pages. I mean, a page of A4 paper is enough, or foolscap sheet, whichever is easier, is enough for you to put there. But let it be representative of what you are doing. And you will still need to look through ANSCO to know what you should put, or what role your manager or your supervisor should put for you when they are doing that. And there are times you may need to submit your CV alongside with the documents you need to submit. Transcripts from school, sometimes you may need to upload them. Sometimes some of these authorities will say they should be sent to them by courier. Whatever they need, supply for them. Then you may need proof that you are doing that work that you are doing presently, or from the time you want to claim that you've been doing it. I will talk about what essence the time you've been practicing makes to this journey, so that you don't lose out of your years when you are doing your assessment. Very important. So you will need to put that document like tax information, that you've been paying tax. It's showing them you are a responsible citizen, and it's showing them you are being truthful with the job you say you are doing. Payslip will be there. At least payslip will carry the name of your employer, will carry the role you are taking. Maybe you are a level 9, level 12 officer or something like that. So it is important when you are doing your assessment to supply your payslip alongside for them to have a look at. It may also be advisable for you to have as many as you cover the number of years that you want to claim, because at some point you will still claim points for your years of experience. So please make sure that at least you put in all your years of experience if possible. If not possible, like if you've had like 18-20 years of experience, you may not be able to put the payslip of all those years, but at least bring up to 10 years, maybe 4 payslips, or at least 3 payslips from each of the years that you may want to claim. Because all the things you need to gain your positive assessment, you will still submit all those documents when you get to visa application stage. You don't want to start running helter-skelter when you get to that stage. So when you are sending, be scanning them and be saving them in maybe a USB or in your email or on any gadget you know you can easily access them at any point in time, and name them accordingly, appropriately, so that you can quickly finger point them when you really need them. So that's one thing again you must do. You may need to submit your pension information too, because you need at least two additional documents to show that you are working in that place besides your employment information, letter of employment. You may need to add your promotion things. Maybe you've had 4 or 5 promotions. Just put the scan it up, so all those things are showing your progression. Not like that one is compulsory, but it's showing progression and that you are still in your role. It may not be with the same employer. If you have a different employer, put them in there so that you will be able to gain as much years of experience as possible when you get to that stage. I will still talk about that one. Very, very important, so that you don't lose out your years of experience. That may be the saving grace for some people. Is pull everything together. All these things you need to supply will be on the site of your assessing authority, and make sure that the person who is giving you letter of employment puts that letter of employment on institutional letterhead, if they are writing that way. Some would say some assessing authority will say the supervisor should write to them at some point with the institutional email address and their numbers, contact number, that someone want to ring them now and make some verification about you. They are able to ring them. Let them put a number that can be reached easily by your assessor. Some things may not be too clear to your assessor, but if they call, that person will be able to explain to them, this is what you are doing, this is what you are doing. And be very conscious about dates. Let your date, ensure that you are consistent with the date you are supplying, because some case officers they shake body with things, then you get it. So they may, some may say, okay, if you said you resume work on 11th, why are you saying again that you resume that work on 13th? So be consistent, very important. And note that whatever you submit at this state of assessment, you're going to submit them at this stage. You don't want different dates from what is going on here and there. And learn that they could still give grace for months, like if the dates you are quoting are in the same month, not like you said you started working in January, then when you get somewhere else in your application you said you started working in May in the same company, and it's not like you are leaving that role to another role. You to look at it now. So when you are done with that, whatever they request of you to submit again, submit them, make their payments, and then keep your fingers crossed and be expecting your report. When your report comes, if it is positive, yeah, then send something to mentor so that mentor can go to McDonald's and celebrate your success in that area. And when we are done with that, then we now move to the stage of expression of interest. Expression of interest is another stage where you now look out to, okay, now I've got I have positive assessments now, so I want to tell Australia government that I want to come and work in their country. That is another stage. I want to come through permanent residency pathway to Australia. That is another stage. or I want to come through work visa for it to skill in demand to Australia. That is another stage. So we continue that stage in the next video. I wish you success in your journey.